Hi guys, back again. Just wanted to say I'm now on with fitting the injectors. So, just give it a quick cleaning there. And that's what 900 quid's worth of remanufactured injectors looks like. All new seals, one there, and then one at the bottom and a brand new copper washer. They've had these completely apart and they've done all the pressure testing and tested the spray and everything else, and everything's working how it should. So now the fun part, let's fit the damn things. Yeah, as I was just saying, there's one with 2 rockers on and there's one with 3 rockers on. Now, for all the cleaning and everything else, I know that the 3 rocker one goes at this side. The bolts are slightly different in how they fit in, and B, if you look there, you can see a dividing line where they've sat before. So very carefully lay that back. I'll pop you back up here the best I can. Yes, I'm having one of those days. I've just filmed it all, straight, and we're putting that lot in. So yeah, utter waste of time that was. Anyway, one thing I did say, as I started putting these rockers on, it had pushed the injectors down and these bolts would go slack, so it would pointless me torquing them. That kind of proves the point. So I'm just going to nip them up first. And again, these rockers do want adjusting because they're solid. So to me, if they're solid, it does 2 things. A, it stops lubrication. B, it actually leans out the injectors. You don't want lean injectors because that's what melted the fucking piston. So yeah, I'll torque these up with a trusty torque wrench on its lowest setting, and we'll see what's what. Right, well, I've got a bit further. I've got all the injectors torqued down, but I haven't managed to set them yet. But again, I'll just put cover on loosely, just the rocker cover and what have you, to on cam cover if you like, to stop muck getting in the engine. But I don't know where they put the wiring loom that goes in here. The diesel pump that pumps fuel to the injectors I've just put on loosely because it's a crushed gasket and I don't want to crush it yet. You might have seen the fuel power steering pump that the brother-in-law put on yesterday, and now I'm just trying to work out the engine mounts, where the AC compressor goes, and I know the alternator goes on here. But the best thing is about this engine is that there's no rubber belts. What there is rubber donuts, and that's what connects everything together. So yeah, there we go. So there's going to be a rubber donut down there and a rubber donut on there for the alternator. But yeah, there is no belts on the outside of this at all. So there you go. So I'll get a bit further and see what's what. Well, another day here at the madhouse, and we've got a bit further. Yeah, as I might have said before, this engine has no belts. It has rubber donuts that run off gears. There is no timing chain, there is no cam belt. And my son's just freaking me out by walking around in circles behind me. So yeah, I mentioned that we put the injectors in. I mentioned that I weren't happy with the fact that there was no movement in any of them, but until I get it turned over, I can't find out if there is going to be any play in it. Hi all again. Well, I'm back on working on the van again, and the sun keeps changing the dark, because when it's bright and it's dark. Right. Came up here earlier and I had an anti-roll bar linkage, and that was stuck on the end of it. And just so you can see what I'm getting at, this is the new anti-roll bar linkage, and they're just threaded. There's no taper to hold them in place, they're just nipped up with a bolt, and that's like a ball in there and it'll turn, i.e. like that one. But on the new one it's obviously much more stiffer, but getting it off was fun. When I came to get that one off, I couldn't get anything to nip in there, and I managed to get mole grips onto that back edge there so I could undo the bolt. With that side, well, as you can see, didn't go quite according to plan. There should be a 12 pointed spline bit that fits in there, so I put the correct size in and it just stripped straight away. Now on the new ones, they have an place for an Allen key to go in, or a hex key, depending on what you like to call it. In the UK we only call them Allen keys, and the rest of the world like to call them hex keys. But again, there's nowhere on the back like you get with on some makes and models where you can put a spanner at the back for in case that gives in. So we had to grind it off. Now herein lies the tale. When we put the engine back in, this anti-roll bar wasn't at this side, it was sat over the top of this, and it was sticking out the front here. So there were loads of space to get an angle grinder in. So nothing was bolted up. Yeah, as I was saying, nothing was bolted up at all. I apologise about shaking the camera. So I thought, right, the wife's up here babysitting for a couple of days. I'll leave it to the weekend and I'll come up and I'll angle grind that off and I'll start fitting everything back together. In the meantime, everything's gone a bit Pete Tong. The anti-roll bar was put back in place. The steering rack was bolted back on loosely. So therefore, I've really fought to get the angle grinder to there. I couldn't cut it off at the nut side, so I had to cut it off at the back. It looks like I've took loads off. I've literally just skimmed the surface as I've took the nut off. But again, it won't make that big a difference as long as it's tightened up properly. I am going to just quickly file it flat to make sure that it does sit flat when I tighten it. The next job, you can see in there, I've got a 12-pointed Torx bit, and I've just got to go through and tighten everything up. Then underneath, I've got an engine mount to put on. So, catch you in a bit. Right guys, I know this isn't a flattering angle because I'm underneath a car, but I've got a peeve. Right, there's one thing that really bowls me off that a lot of mechanics do. If you look at that there, we have a bolt going uphill. Now if the nut undoes itself, then the bolt's going to fall straight out, which means then you've lost your nut and your bolt. Right? That one I can't turn the other way around without taking the anti-roll bar linkage back off. But the other three, I've turned the other way up. So if the bolt nut comes off the bolt, the chances are that the bolt will rattle around in the hole, but at least it gives you some kind of protection. Whereas if it's the other way around and they all fall out, which would be exceptionally unlucky, but at least you know whatever's going through, the bolt's going through, ain't going to drop off. So yeah, that's my little peeve for right now. Right, so here we go again, back on with the van, and I am setting up these today. However, as I've said before, there is no pulleys on the side of the engine, so how do you turn it manually? And the way how you turn it manually is at the bottom here. You might see a little round rubber seal. It's a one use only deal. You put a Pacific tool through there once you take the rubber seal out, and you can turn the engine manually. Yeah, right. So we haven't got that other rubber seal, so before I've got everything connected up, the only thing I've got connected is power to the starter. So I'm literally knocking it round on the starter. Right, the solenoid wire just going against the positive, which now it's not working. Yay. Bear with me a sec. Right guys, I've basically got a fan at the moment. It's all wired up. What we're waiting on, new water pipes, because it was built in 2005 and they're a bit soft. When we've gone to the all aggravation of changing the engine twice, it might be an idea while we're in here to change them. So the brother-in-law's ordered some. He's also ordered a mega fuse, or as I like to say it, it's not a blade fuse, but yeah, and it's 225, is it 225? Yeah, 225 amp, and that wire there is this wire here that goes onto the back of the alternator. It's got a nut on. And yesterday, when I was using the starter motor to turn the engine over so I could set the rockers that push the injectors up and down, that wire was off. and I leant against it and I touched it and I grounded it out and I popped the fuse. So it should only be a day from Amazon for that fuse, but yeah. The worst thing is the pipes were ordered over a week ago, and they were supposed to only take 5 days. So there we go. So as you might be able to tell by the light, it's quite late on in the evening, and that's deliberate because it's been that hot here. It's been too hot to work on it. So yeah, wish you all the best, and I'll catch up with you next time, and have a good one.